The rain fell heavily over the crowded streets of Lagos as people struggled to find shelter under shop canopies and bus stops. Inside a noisy restaurant at Ojulegba, a young man named Tobi sat quietly in one corner, staring into a cup of tea that had already gone cold. 5 years earlier, nobody would have recognized this version of him. Back then, Tobi was the kind of person who believed respect came from confrontation. He argued with conductors, fought neighbors, insulted strangers online, and never tolerated correction from anybody. His anger was quick, sharp, and dangerous. People around him often said, "That boy carries fire in his chest." And truly, Tobi wore his aggression like a badge of honor. If someone offended him, he made sure revenge arrived immediately. If someone shouted at him, he shouted louder. To him, walking away meant losing. But life has a strange way of teaching lessons pride can never understand. It began the year Tobi finally got a good job after months of unemployment. A logistics company in Lagos hired him as an operations officer. The salary was decent, and for the first time in years, his mother finally smiled with relief. "Please," she told him softly before he resumed work, "don't let your temper destroy this opportunity." Tobi laughed carelessly. "Mama, I'm not a child anymore." But barely 3 months later, trouble started. One busy Monday morning, traffic delayed a delivery truck, and the company lost an important client. During the staff meeting, the manager blamed Tobi unfairly in front of everyone. "You are too careless for this job," the manager snapped harshly. The room became silent. Everybody knew the accusation was unfair. Tobi felt humiliation burn through his veins. His chest tightened. The old version of himself rose instantly like a storm. Without thinking, he slammed his hands on the table. "Careless? You're the careless one," he shouted. The meeting exploded into chaos. Staff members tried calming him down, but anger had already blinded him. He insulted the manager openly and stormed out dramatically, convinced he had defended his dignity. 3 days later, he received a termination letter. At first, Tobi blamed everybody else. He blamed the manager. He blamed Lagos stress. He blamed wicked colleagues. But deep down, he knew the truth. His anger had cost him again. Weeks passed. Joblessness returned. Bills piled up. Friends stopped picking his calls. Even his girlfriend, Amara, grew tired of his constant hostility. One evening, after another heated argument, she looked at him with disappointment and said something that pierced his heart deeply. "Tobi, you think every disagreement is war. You don't know how to let things go." That statement stayed in his mind long after she left. Days later, something happened that changed him completely. Tobi boarded a crowded Danfo bus heading toward Yaba. As usual, passengers argued loudly over change and seating space. Suddenly, 2 men began fighting violently inside the bus over a minor insult. Within seconds, punches flew everywhere. People screamed. The driver lost concentration. And before anyone understood what was happening, the bus crashed into a roadside pole. The entire scene became chaos. Blood. Broken glass. Screaming voices. Tobi escaped with minor injuries, but an elderly woman sitting beside him was badly hurt. As people rushed to help, Tobi stood frozen. All this destruction. Because 2 grown men refused to walk away from a useless argument. That night, he could not sleep. For the first time, he truly understood how dangerous uncontrolled conflict could become. From that day forward, Tobi started changing gradually. Not perfectly. Not instantly. But intentionally. When people insulted him online, he ignored them. When conductors provoked him, he stayed calm. When neighbors tried dragging him into gossip and unnecessary fights, he excused himself quietly. Some people mocked him. "Why are you acting soft now?" they asked. But Tobi was beginning to understand something powerful. peace protects more than pride ever can. Months later, another opportunity came. A friend connected him to a construction company looking for supervisors. This time, Tobi entered the workplace differently. He focused on discipline, patience, and self-control. One afternoon, a junior worker damaged expensive equipment and falsely blamed Tobi to avoid punishment. The company director became furious immediately. Everybody expected Tobi to react aggressively like before. Even the worker prepared for a fight. But Tobi remained calm. Instead of shouting, he simply said, "Sir, investigate properly first." His calmness surprised everyone. After checking security footage, the truth came out. The guilty worker broke down in shame and apologized publicly. Later that evening, the director called Tobi into his office. "You know," the man said thoughtfully, "most people destroy themselves trying to win arguments. But calm people think clearly." That sentence became a turning point in Tobi's life. Years passed. Slowly, his life improved. He became financially stable. His relationships became healthier. People began respecting him genuinely, not out of fear but because of his wisdom. One Sunday evening, Tobi visited his mother in their village. As they sat outside watching children play under the orange sunset, she smiled proudly at him. "You have changed," she said softly. Tobi nodded quietly. Then he replied with words he once would never have understood. "I finally realized that maturity is not proving you can fight. It's proving you can control yourself." True maturity begins the moment you stop allowing every provocation to control your emotions. Life becomes lighter when you realize that peace is more valuable than winning arguments. Some people will misunderstand you, insult you, or try to pull you into unnecessary drama, but wisdom is knowing when to stay silent and move forward. Not every fight deserves your attention, and not every problem deserves your anger. Sometimes, the greatest victory is protecting your peace and choosing growth over chaos. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Geraldinho Stories for more powerful African storytelling, emotional life lessons, and unforgettable stories that will keep touching your heart.